everybody, this is Detroit AllyCat. Welcome back to my channel. We are going to talk about something that I have wanted to talk to you guys about for a while, but I've been very hesitant to do it. But am I not hesitant to do everything? So without further ado, let's get spooky. Let's talk about what I want to talk about today. I would like to talk about a missing persons case that still is unsolved, and I really don't talk about those very often, not as much as I wanted to, but this is a very specific case that I really wanted to shed light on. It is called the MMIW, and for those of you that don't know what this is, it's the Murdered Missing Indigenous Women. And this is an occurrence that has been happening in Canada and America. I'm going to talk about America today, and I just want to go through some of the statistics because there's a lot of misconceptions about this subject, and I feel like it's very important that people understand that this is a very real thing and it's something that needs more light on it. Because there's a pretty good chance that you're watching this right now and you probably don't even know what this is, which I don't understand because it should be everywhere. 4 out of 5 Native women are affected by violence today. The U.S. Department of Justice found that American Indian women face murder rates that are more than 10 times the national average. Homicide is the third leading cause of death among 10 to 24 years of age, and the fifth leading cause of death for American Indian and Alaskan Native women between 25 and 34 years of age. And these are just some of the statistics that I found. There is a lot more that is out there that's just very, very shocking. And I would ask you to look into it. Look into the MMIW. I noticed that there's a new thing that's called the MMIW and Two-Spirit. I'm not too familiar with that right now, so I don't want to talk about it unless I am educated on it. So we're just going to stick with the MMIW. The MMIW is a human rights crisis disproportionately affecting Indigenous women in Canada and U.S. And it's really big. It's really big and it's really sad, and I just want to do whatever I can to get a little bit of knowledge out there. I have talked about this before, and I talked about 2 cases, and it was right when I was beginning my channel. And, I had a lot of Indigenous women come on there, and they kind of corrected me, and I have no problem with that at all. I don't. In fact, if you ever hear me say something that you don't think is correct or you can add to it, please feel free to do that. I'm not so arrogant as to believe that I'm always going to be right and I'm always going to know everything that has to do with anything about true crime. It just really intimidated me because I take this very seriously and I don't want to disrespect anybody that is listening to this, because these aren't stories. These aren't this isn't a TV show. These are people, and they're mothers and daughters and sisters and aunts, and it affects me really badly, and I'm sure it affects them really badly too, to hear the person that they love being talked about on a YouTube channel. Before I begin this, I just want to say, if you are related to this person, you know this person, I mean no disrespect. I really am trying to shed light on this topic and get this case out there because she's not been found to this day, and she deserves to go home and have a proper burial. All right, today we're going to be talking about Larissa Lone Hill. And before we jump into the case, even though we have not found Larissa's body, I still would like to light a white candle for her, just in honor of her, and that she will be found and she will go home. At this time, she is presumed dead, but that doesn't mean that she isn't out there, and I am a firm believer in keeping hope alive. We're gonna do this. All right, let's talk about Larissa Lone Hill. Larissa was one out of 8 children, and her mother, Lisa, talked about Larissa. They said that she was a very happy little girl. She had a lot of energy. She loved to sing. She loved to do anything musical. She was very beautiful, and one of the things that Larissa was known for was her big heart. Her mother had a lot of stomach problems. She was always known to fix, I think it's like a heating pad, but it's like water in it. I don't know what that's called. It's like a water heating bottle thing. And she would always make this to put on her mother's stomach. Her mother wouldn't even ask her. And she was also known to clean up around the house without even being asked. She always helped out. She always wanted to be there for everybody. Her sister ended up having children, and she would read to the kids, take care of the kids. She loved being around children, and she just had a very good heart overall. Also, Larissa had a daughter, and for whatever reason, Larissa's daughter ended up having to be with her father, and the father of Larissa's daughter had custody. But that didn't stop Larissa from going and seeing her daughter, and it was said that if Larissa couldn't get a ride to see her daughter, she would walk to go see her daughter, or she would hitchhike. And I just want to take this moment to put it out there that a lot of these cases, I have noticed that there is a lot of hitchhiking going on. If you ever need a ride somewhere or the opportunity comes to hitchhike, please don't do that. It's a very high-risk activity, and there are some really bad people out there. And a lot of these MMIW cases, there is quite a bit of hitchhiking that is connected to these cases. Larissa, when she disappeared, she was 21 years old. She was between the height of 5'3" and 5'4". She weighed between 120 to 130 pounds. She has brown eyes and long brown hair. She's extremely beautiful. She belongs to the Lakota Indian tribe in South Dakota. She has some recognizable tattoos. She has a paw print on her hand, and on her body she has the names Lisa, Luda, and Mom tattooed on her. These are some identifying marks that you would see on Larissa. Larissa Lone Hill was last seen on October 2nd, 2016 by her mother, Lisa Lone Hill. And they were talking, and basically Larissa was explaining to her mother, Lisa, that she had gotten to a fight with her sister, Carol Piper, and Carol Piper had told Larissa that she could no longer stay at her house because it was Larissa's kind of habit to go to Carol's house and stay there, and Carol said that she could not do that anymore, that she was not allowed to come there. Larissa's mother, Lisa, said to her, I don't know what you've done, but you need to do whatever your sister says so you can fix this situation. It was later discovered that the reason for this is that Carol actually discovered Larissa smoking meth in her bathroom, and she loved her sister a lot, but she had small children in this house, and she did not approve of this. And Lisa, Larissa's mother, actually admitted that, Larissa did have a drug habit, and it was a problem for her. Carol had told Larissa on multiple occasions that she needed to go ahead and get help for her substance abuse problems. And something else that a lot of people did notice, including her family, is that Larissa lost her ID. So she could not work, and she always seemed to have spending money. And she always seemed to not be at a loss for being able to buy certain things. And that's important to know. I'm not going to assume anything about Larissa, but it is kind of suspicious that she would have money and she didn't have a job and she didn't have an ID. It just sounds like she had taken part in some high-risk activities that, would make her susceptible for this. Not saying that she deserved it at all. It's just, she was probably dealing with some people that weren't the best of characters. Her mother had talked to her on October 2nd, 2016, and the next day, one of Larissa's cousins got a phone message from Larissa basically saying that she was staying with these two guys and that everything was okay. After Larissa talked to her mother on October 2nd, Larissa left with her boyfriend and a male friend after saying they wanted to go to the Rushmore Mall. That is actually the last time her mother would see her, was when she was taking off with her boyfriend. On the morning of October 3rd, she texted her cousin saying she was staying with two male friends from Pine Bridge Indian Reservation, like I had said before. Larissa's mom believes she was taken from her boyfriend's house, but the account is from her boyfriend that the two males that picked her up, Larissa kind of told her boyfriend that these were her cousins, when in fact that they were not her cousins. They were questioned about what happened to Larissa, and one of the males that Larissa was with said that he actually dropped her off at a party in Rapid City, and the other guy said that he was never even with her, which is really suspect because her boyfriend did see Larissa with this person. After that happened, Larissa went missing. There was no... Hi, Nige. After this happened, Larissa went missing, and the next day, either her brother or her cousin actually reported her missing, and that's when she became a missing person. Now, this is a part that I find very weird and I don't really like, but it took 6 months before the Rapid City Police Department announced that Larissa was missing, and there was a reward for $5,000 put up. For 6 months, there was no announcement, be on the lookout for Larissa Lone Hill. It was just kind of like radio silence. Nothing was, I wouldn't say nothing was being done, but the community didn't even know that she was missing, and there were no announcements. The other thing that was kind of suspicious as well is the two men that picked Larissa up from her boyfriend's house. The reason that they suspect that Larissa went with them is because it was drug related. Larissa had a meth problem, and they probably were going to do something meth related, and that's why she left. It's kind of hard because her sister basically told her she couldn't stay with her anymore, and I feel like she got a lot of slack for that because then Larissa went missing. But when Carol Piper was actually questioned about it, which is Larissa's sister, she said she didn't regret it. And I can kind of understand, why, because when somebody is doing meth, you can't predict what's going to happen next, and that's not safe to have around children, and everybody in the house wouldn't be safe. It's very sad that Larissa went missing after this. Larissa's mom said she was involved in drugs and she knew about it. Carol Piper recalled that the last thing that she had talked to Larissa about was that she knew she had a substance abuse problem and that she loved her very much and she really needed to get help, and that was the last thing that she said to her sister was, "I love you." Larissa went to school on the reservation. Larissa went to school on the res, and unfortunately she never did get her high school diploma. Larissa's family, unfortunately, has been through a lot of things that have been really horrible since Larissa went missing. Somebody actually contacted Larissa's family, actually Larissa's mother, Lisa, and tried to extort her, basically saying that she had to give her a sum of money and then she would tell her where her daughter was. And then she was also contacted by a medium, which makes me so sad to hear this, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing if you feel like you're a medium. But basically, the medium told Larissa's mother, like, your daughter has been buried here, and this is what happened to her. And of course, they took this very seriously, and they went and they looked for Larissa, and they never found her. And unfortunately, Lisa, Larissa's mother, has been through a lot of pain and suffering. The eldest of Lisa's 4 daughters and the youngest of her 4 sons are in jail, or they were in jail a couple years ago when the last reporting was done. Her eldest son is in alcoholic treatment. Her second son died of an illness 3 weeks after Larissa went missing. Larissa's gone, and one of her children has died, so there's 6 left, and 2 are having legal troubles, and another one's having substance abuse problems. And Lisa, Larissa's mother, says that her stomach has just, like, it's been so exacerbated by all of this stress, and my heart really goes out for her. The city police are investigating in partnership with the county sheriff's office. Now, I don't want to say this wrong, but I'm going to say this, and we're not going to try to make fun of me for this, but the Oglala Sioux Tribal Police and the FBI. I really hope I said that right. And that's kind of where the whole trail of Larissa Lone Hill ends. And I feel really bad for her family, mostly her daughter, who asks about her mother all the time. She's 7 years old now, and she's got no mom. And she has to face the fact that, you know, she's a Native American, and her mother is now a name on the MMIW list, and now this is something that she could quite possibly face herself, which is just, it's pretty horrible. Here's some information if you do live in South Dakota. The Rapid City Police Department number is 605-394-4134. The Oglala Sioux Tribal Police phone number is 605-867-5111. I would really urge you to check out this MMIW. It's such a big thing that's happening in America and Canada, and there's just no, like, coverage on it. And it's just really sad because there are so many women that are missing, and then they're being murdered, or they're facing domestic violence, sexual violence, just violence in any way. And I just feel like they're like the forgotten, and we can't forget them, because these are, like, I feel like I'm about to cry. These are some really beautiful people, and they don't deserve this at all, not in any way. And I feel like we should, like, treasure them, because they're, like, the history of this continent, and they have a lot to say, and they have a lot to teach us. And it's just sad that, you know, all these other things are getting all of these frontline headlines, and nobody hears about this, and it breaks my heart. This was my true crime today, and it definitely is not solved. The police do believe that she is dead, but let's keep hope alive for her family. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my content today, please leave me a comment. Think about subscribing. I really appreciate when you guys, like, give me a thumbs up, or at least tell me what you think about this. I hope that I did a good job covering this case, because it's so very important to me that I do cover these types of cases. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye.